Welcome to chapel. Glad you're here today. You are in for a special treat. See, this summer we had a group of students who got out of their comfort zone and went to the other side of the world to share God's love with others. And they're going to come today, so why don't you come on up, and they're going to come today and share with you some of the stories that happened to them, some of their experiences, and what they saw God doing halfway around the world, or I guess all the way around the world, on the other side of the world, as they were there this summer. So I'll turn it over to them. Give it up.
Okay, yeah, Ryan pretty much shared it all, well, at least the basics. Us, along with about 60 other young people from all over the United States and in Canada, went to Thailand with MB Mission. And some of us played basketball against Thai teams and led basketball camps. And then some of us taught English and spent a lot of time at an orphanage. So today we're going to share some of our stories that of things that God is doing around the world. So, but first we're going to start with introductions. So I'm Peyton, and I was with a church team.
I'm Lance, and I played on the basketball team.
I'm Kayla, and I played on the basketball team.
I'm Tina, and I was also on the basketball team.
I'm Kaylee, and I was also on the basketball team.
I'm Mallory, and I was on the basketball team.
I'm John, and I was also on the basketball team.
I'm Jeffrey, and I was on the basketball team.
Joshua, and I was also on the basketball team.
I'm Aaron, and I was not on the basketball team.
And I'm Sierra, and I was on the basketball team. And so to start us off, we're just going to do a little bit of a cultural lesson. So can everyone stand up, please? So in Thailand, when you greet someone, you don't just wave or say hi, but you wai. And so it's polite, and you do it for respect. So you put your hands together like this, and then you bow your head, and you say, Sawadee ka, for the girls. And the guys say, Sawadee kap. So, and there's one thing. The younger person always has to why the older person for respect. So try doing that among yourselves. Okay, you guys can sit down now. And now we have a little video about what we did there.
I'm Lance Carter. I'm from Troy, Ohio, and I go to school in Hillsborough, Kansas at Tabor College. This was kind of my faith story as well, but I was in a little bit of trouble. I had gotten into a fight at school and was essentially kicked out of Tabor and kicked off the basketball team as well. And I go to school with Sierra Sanchez, Ricky's daughter, so he was in town visiting her and kind of heard about my situation and decided to take me out to lunch. During all this, as far as getting kicked out of school, I accepted Christ and decided to walk with him, faithfully. So he had heard this as well and just shared his story with me. He wasn't condemning me for the things I had done, but rather telling me what I could be and telling me the things that God could do with me as far as if I wanted to walk with him, and chose to do that. And he also put this on the table as far as the Thailand basketball mission trip. But he was like, you won't come back the same man. You'll grow a lot. You'll build relationships with people that will be lifelong. I just told him, I would pray about it and I would get back to him. So I had some people around the community just praying every day that I would, decide to take that next step in my faith walk. And I felt like that's what God was asking of me. So I was obedient and did that, and I do not regret it at all. I feel like orientation set the tone as far as what was expected of us, and letting us know that we were going to be challenged, not only physically but spiritually. We jumped into the Word a lot, which is something that I wasn't really used to, but I enjoyed and learned a lot, even in orientation. But following coming on the trip, we stayed into the life groups every morning, which was helpful. putting ministry before basketball and making it the bigger deal, and then basketball kind of just a bonus on top. I think all the way from the top down that the leaders were great examples of man of Christ, and just showed us how rather than told us how. I guess the one common thing was that we were there to serve God, so I think that changed the whole dynamics of the team, and just it wasn't about us, it wasn't about basketball even, it was about, you know, going to serve and to be witnesses on the court, off the court. But yeah, the camps are amazing. I mean, the chance that some of the people had to share their testimony, and I think that really hit the heart of some of the children. Our team was just, I felt like we were sharing the love of Jesus, and that they noticed something different about us because of that. So I'm just hoping that kind of plants the seed and that someone else can maybe water it if we didn't. I've grown more in the last 3 weeks than I've grown probably in my life. So I've seen God work in me and other people in ways that I've never seen before.
We're gonna rock! We're gonna roll! We're gonna do it because we're the best!
Before leaving for Thailand, we had a week of training in Fresno, California, where we learned about the Thai culture, practiced a lot of basketball, and had several people come in and model how to share their testimonies, because we were going to have many opportunities to do so once we were in Thailand. We heard 4 or 5 amazing testimonies throughout this time of ways God really rescued people from different situations of complete and utter darkness. As I was listening to all of these different testimonies, I started to think, man, these people have some pretty cool testimonies. And I began to think of my testimony and compared it to theirs, and thought to myself, wow, I sure hope I don't have to share mine on the trip, because it isn't all that exciting. So I kind of struggled with these thoughts, and it continued to bother me until I talked with one of the leaders on the trip about it, and he really helped me realize and remember that we all started in the same place. We are all sinners in need of God's grace. Just because my story wasn't as exciting as some people, my chains were still broken, and God still forgave me of my sins, just like He does to everyone else. This really helped me to realize that my story matters, not because of how exciting my actual testimony might be, but because of God's power, and because God has washed my sins away, and that is something to be excited about, and something that needs to be shared.
I went to Thailand hoping to do God's work. I wanted to do God's work for my own glory. And I wanted to come back and have powerful stories to tell people about how I had shared Christ with people. However, that didn't happen. Instead, I was able to watch other people do those things, the things that I wanted to do. At first, I was frustrated. But eventually, I was able to enjoy having a more supportive role with the team. One story that really exemplifies this is we were doing a camp at a Christian school, a basketball camp for the kids, and early on I connected with a goofy kid, which is probably why we connected, and we just enjoyed using hand signals and poking each other and laughing to communicate, because we didn't speak the same language. And so I was thinking, all right, this is going to be my chance to share the gospel. I was going to get a translator, you know. I kind of thought about it like this is my chance to have that story that I wanted to share. But God had other plans, and as the camp continued, one of the girls was sharing her testimony for the kids, and I was sitting next to my friend, and the lady sharing her testimony, the girl, invited the kids that if they wanted to accept Christ, that she would lead them in a prayer. And so this little boy, I got to listen to him pray to accept Christ into his heart in Thai, and that was just really powerful and brought a lot of joy to my heart, and just reminded me that we're a team trying to glorify God, not as individuals. And even though I didn't lead him to Christ, that doesn't matter. What matters is that he'll have the salvation and the hope that Christ brings, and that's nothing I did, but it's God's glory, and He's going to work, whether or not we're there to do it or not. He is powerful enough.
Thailand was a really humbling experience. It's not every day that you get to experience a different culture. God had a way of helping our team put any differences and conflict aside, just to come together and show His love for the Thai people. I went to Thailand not really knowing what to expect, but the trip was something that is really hard to describe in a few words. One of my favorite parts about the trip was the camps we did for the Thai children. It was great to see how joyful they were, and it was just amazing to see how many kids wanted to accept Christ and build a relationship with Him. God not only allowed me to serve Him in a different country, but He allowed the Thai people to be an influence in my life. And through all the experiences and the relationships I built, God strengthened my faith.
I had the privilege of being the translator for the team since I speak Thai fluently. And so part of my job was when we were at camps, the players would share their testimonies and then I would translate it into Thai so that the kids could understand it. And so this was just a really cool experience for me. It pushed and challenged me to actively share out and just be vocal in my faith. And also it was just really fun to grow in that way with my teammates. But sometimes I didn't always get it right, and for example, like once when I was translating Mallory's testimony, she shared how she struggled in basketball at one point, and then God helped her and she improved a lot, and instead I shared it as, yeah, I struggled in basketball and then I got really good and now I'm the best player ever. But overall, it was just really fun, and yeah, translating is cool, and it was cool to see how God uses different languages for His glory.
Being that we were only in Thailand for 2 weeks, every moment was precious. I got to spend a lot of these moments hanging out with the kids at the Abundant Life Home. The Abundant Life Home is an orphanage for children who are affected by HIV and AIDS, and the orphanage is run by our host missionaries. These beautiful children showed me their world and taught me more about love than I ever thought I could have known. There's always been a special place in my heart for little children, especially for those that are pushed to the margins of society. Through various outings with the children at ALH, the love I felt for these kids grew deeper and deeper. I felt like such a proud mom when they would answer a question right in school, though the other students were doing the same thing. I caught myself bragging about them to other team members as I swiped through endless pictures of them on my phone. And although it's hard to imagine, the love I have for these kids is only a fraction of the love God has for me.
The team I was on had several opportunities to take the ALH kids on outings. My favorite was an outing to the pool. I love spending time in the water and getting to hang out with kids. Seeing how God combined these passions and used them in missions was an eye-opener to the many opportunities that are out there.
Are you excited?
One night, the girls on our team were invited to do a prayer walk through Pattaya, the largest red light district in the world. We began by praying in a circle on the beach. A crowd of police officers and tourists had gathered and were shining flashlights on us. It was like we were the light in the darkness. We then walked through the loud street, praying and singing. After, we reconvened on the beach, and Karen Sanchez, the local missionary, encouraged us to stretch our hands out over the city and pray bold prayers. I was standing on the shoreline where the waves were just lapping at my ankles. As we all began to pray, the waves got higher and higher. The louder it got, the higher the waves came until my shorts were soaked. Then, as the prayers died down, the waves returned to just barely touching my feet. It was as if God was saying, I want to cleanse this place and wash it with my pure living water. Even in the grip of the blackest night, our God is greater, flooding the darkness with His light. Prayers have power. We found out later that our guys team had been praying for us that night. So please continue to pray for freedom from the sin that has entangled Pattaya and the country of Thailand.
Thailand was probably one of the most life-changing experiences that I've ever had. going to Thailand with the team that we had and the leadership team that we had was absolutely amazing. The people who were invested in what we were doing, in the mission that we had to bring the good news, to bring Christ to Thailand, made this experience a life-transforming experience for everybody who was involved. I mean, you had leaders from all around, you had basketball players from all around who came with an open heart and an open mind. You know, there was people at different walks in their faith, but everybody was there with the same mission. And watching how my teammates, the girls team and the leaders show the love of Christ and just brought their passion for what they did for their sport and for God to Thailand, and how that transformed people was amazing. Not only experiencing God the ways that we did that not only change my life, but the way I got to see God work through my teammates, through the leaders, and the things that they did, and just simply the love that they showed to other people. I mean, you can't ask for anything else, and it wasn't a huge thing, and it wasn't anything crazy that anybody did. It was just simple acts of kindness, simple acts of love, of showing these people some compassion and showing them a Christ-like love. And to be able to do that through basketball was amazing, and I feel so fortunate and so blessed for this opportunity. I just encourage you to take any opportunity you have to do something like this. Take it and do it.
One of my favorite things about the Thailand trip is that I got to experience it with my teammates and brothers in Christ. I got to see each of them in their element and also pushed out of their comfort zone. The experiences we had together and the fact that we get to come back and share those together is so special. We've been able to walk with each other in our journey since we've returned home, and I can't wait to see the changes that will occur on both the men's and women's teams this year as a result of this trip.
Every morning of the trip, we had a time set aside for studying the Bible together and encouraging each other. I found that being in the Word of God every morning helped me to align my heart with what God desired for me day to day, but also for my life. God showed me that certain dreams I have are indeed for Him and not simply things I made up in my mind. He taught me not to be ashamed of my God-given dreams, but to embrace them, pursue them, and to pray for them, believing that God would bring them to pass. Another thing I learned was about the power of prayer. Everywhere we went, we were praying. During this time, I learned what it means to pray boldly. One of the greatest examples of this was when we did our prayer walk in Pattaya City, and we were encouraged to just pray out loud as we walked down the street. It was amazing just to be in such a dark and oppressive place, outwardly battling the evil that was present there, not afraid of what others might think. I also learned what I should pray about. We were encouraged to pray for big things, impossible things. Here's a quote from a book that explains exactly what I have been learning. Bold prayers honor God. God honors bold prayers. God isn't offended by your biggest dreams or your boldest prayers. He is offended by anything less. If your prayers aren't impossible to you, they are insulting to God because they don't require divine intervention. There's nothing God loves more than keeping promises and fulfilling dreams. So my encouragement to you is align your hearts with God, find out what His dreams are for your life, then pray boldly.